Captain Eliza Mason rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the main screen of the USS Defiant. The giant viewing window showed nothing but stars and the endless black of space. 3 months into their exploration mission, and they had yet to find any sign of intelligent alien life. "Status report," she said, her voice echoing in the quiet bridge. Lieutenant Greg Powell looked up from his console. "All systems normal, Captain. We're maintaining position at the edge of this star system. No unusual readings." Eliza nodded. Earth had only developed faster than light travel 5 years ago. The United Earth Federation had built a small fleet of ships, sending them in different directions to explore and make peaceful contact with any alien civilizations they might find. So far, the Defiant had found plenty of empty planets, some interesting space rocks, but no aliens. "Captain," called out Officer Samantha Carter from the communications station, "I'm picking up a distress signal." Eliza straightened in her chair. "Source?" "About half a light year away. It's not in any language I recognize, but the pattern matches universal distress protocols." "Put it on screen." The main display flickered, showing a small ship being pursued by 3 larger vessels. The small ship was sleek with blue-green markings, while the pursuing ships were darker, with weapons firing bright energy beams. "Looks like someone's in trouble," Greg said, leaning forward at his tactical station. Eliza frowned. Their orders were clear. Observe only, avoid interference, report back to Earth. First contact was supposed to be carefully planned, not rushed into because of a space battle they stumbled upon. "Those smaller ships are firing on the larger vessel," Allison Wright called from the engineering station. "Their weapons are like nothing I've seen before." "Pirates," Greg suggested. "That looks like a civilian transport being hunted." Eliza's fingers tapped on the arm of her chair. The right move was to stay hidden, gather intelligence, and report back. But that small ship was clearly in danger. "How long until those attackers disable the transport?" she asked. Greg checked his readings. "At the current rate of fire, less than 10 minutes. 10 minutes to make a decision that could change humanity's first impression on the galaxy." Eliza took a deep breath. "Mr. Powell, plot an intercept course. Ms. Wright, ready weapon systems, but keep them powered down until my command. I want to try talking first." The crew stared at her. "Captain," Greg said carefully. "Our orders." "I know our orders, Lieutenant, but I'm not going to watch innocent people die when we could help." She stood up. "Yellow alert. Prepare for possible combat situations." The Defiant's engines hummed louder as the ship accelerated toward the battle. As they got closer, they could see more details. The transport ship was damaged, venting atmosphere from its rear section. The attacking ships moved with practiced coordination. "They're making another run on the transport," Greg reported. "Open a channel," Eliza ordered. "All frequencies, universal translator active." Sam nodded, her fingers flying over her console. "Attention, unidentified vessels. This is Captain Eliza Mason of the Earthship USS Defiant. Cease your attack on the transport immediately. We are prepared to offer assistance." The only response was silence. "No reply, Captain," Sam said. One of the attacking ships broke off from the transport and turned toward the Defiant. "They've noticed us," Greg said. "The ship is scanning us. Weapons are powering up." "Red alert," Eliza commanded. "Shields up. Arm weapons." The bridge lights dimmed and red warning lights flashed as the ship prepared for combat. "They're firing," Greg shouted. The Defiant shook as energy beams hit its shields. "Shields holding." "At 92%, Allison reported. "Their weapons are powerful, but nothing we can't handle." Eliza gripped the arms of her chair. "Target their weapon systems only. Fire." The Defiant's pulse cannons fired, bright blue energy streaking across space. The shots hit the attacking ship precisely where its weapon mounts connected to the hull. The ship veered off, its weapons disabled. "One down," Greg said. "The other 2 are still attacking the transport." "Take us in closer," Eliza ordered. "Same targets. Weapons only." The Defiant moved between the transport and its attackers. The ship fired again, disabling the weapons on a second attacker. The third ship, seeing its companions crippled, turned and fled, disappearing into faster-than-light travel. The transport is hailing us, Sam announced, surprise in her voice. On screen, Eliza said, straightening her uniform. The screen showed the interior of the damaged ship. A humanoid figure with pale blue skin and silver eyes stared back at them. He wore ornate clothing with symbols Eliza didn't recognize. Unknown vessel, the alien said, the translator converting his clicks and whistles into English. You have the gratitude of the Arcturus Empire. I am Prince Kazatarl, nephew to Emperor Jarakir. Eliza blinked in surprise. They had just rescued royalty? I am Captain Eliza Mason of the Earthship USS Defiant. We're pleased we could help, Your Highness. The prince tilted his head. Earth? I am not familiar with this system. Are you new allies of the Empire? We're explorers from a planet called Earth. We've only recently developed faster-than-light travel. This is our first contact with your people. The prince's silver eyes widened. First contact? And you chose to risk yourselves for strangers? Fascinating. He bowed slightly. Captain Mason, my ship is badly damaged. Might I request escort to the nearest Imperial outpost? Dr. Joseph Rivera, the ship's science officer, leaned close to Eliza. Captain, this could be exactly the peaceful contact we were hoping for. Eliza nodded. We would be honored to escort you, Your Highness. Please share the coordinates. Sending now, the prince replied. And Captain, those weren't pirates. They were revolutionaries attempting to kidnap me for political leverage. You've just intervened in imperial politics. The bridge fell silent. See? Eliza said carefully. I hope that won't cause problems. The prince's expression was unreadable. It will cause many things, Captain. But you saved my life, and the Empire repays its debts. The screen went dark. Coordinates received. Sam reported. It's a space station about 6 hours from here at maximum speed. Eliza sat back in her chair, suddenly aware of what they had done. Their first alien contact wasn't the careful diplomatic meeting Earth had planned. Instead, they had jumped headfirst into an alien civil conflict and rescued a prince. Captain, Greg said quietly, what do we tell Earth? The truth, Eliza replied. That we've made first contact with the Arcturus Empire by rescuing their prince from revolutionaries. She almost laughed at how ridiculous it sounded. And we'll add that we're escorting him to an Imperial outpost where I'm sure interesting conversations await us. As the Defiant took position next to the damaged royal transport, Eliza couldn't help but wonder what they had gotten themselves into. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community had certainly not been quiet ones. In 6 hours, they would reach the Imperial outpost. In 6 hours, they would officially introduce humanity to the stars. And based on what the prince had said, the Arcturus Empire was no small player in galactic politics. Eliza just hoped their good deed wouldn't turn into a diplomatic disaster. The Imperial outpost grew larger on the main screen as the Defiant approached. It was massive, a spinning wheel of metal and lights with hundreds of ships docked along its outer ring. Captain Eliza Mason had never seen anything like it. Earth's space stations were tiny in comparison. It's beautiful, she said quietly, and heavily armed, Greg Powell added from his tactical station. I'm counting at least 50 weapon ports all active and scanning us. Sam Carter's voice was tense from the communication station. Captain, we're being hailed by the outpost. They sound upset. On screen, Eliza ordered. The face that appeared was blue-skinned like the prince, but with sharp features twisted in alarm. Unidentified vessel, this is Security Admiral Dravnorak of Imperial Outpost Sigma 9. Power down your engines and weapons immediately. Who allowed a human warship this close to Imperial space? Eliza blinked in surprise. They know what humans are. Before she could respond, Prince Kaztarl appeared on a split screen. Admiral, stand down. This ship saved my life. I have granted them escort privileges. The Admiral's expression shifted from alarm to confusion. Your Highness? We received reports of your abduction. Reports of my almost abduction, the prince corrected. This vessel intervened. Prepare a repair bay for my ship and appropriate accommodations for the human delegation. The Admiral looked like he wanted to argue, but instead bowed his head. As you command, Your Highness. The screen went dark. That was strange, Greg said. How did they recognize us as human? And why did they panic? Eliza had been wondering the same thing. I don't know, but we're about to find out. Sam, contact Earth. Let them know our situation. Sam frowned as she worked her console. Captain, I can't establish a connection. Something's blocking our long-range communications. The outpost is scanning us again, Greg reported. It's more intensive this time. They're looking at everything. Our weapons, engines, shield capabilities. Allison Wright called from engineering. Captain, their scans are unusually thorough. They're mapping our entire ship. I've never seen anything like it. Eliza felt uneasy. Prince Kazateril is hailing us again. The prince appeared on screen. Captain Mason, the outpost is ready to receive you. Admiral Dravnorak requests that you and a small delegation shuttle over for a formal greeting. What about our ship? Eliza asked. The Defiant will be assigned a holding position. I assure you, this is standard protocol. Eliza didn't completely trust the situation, but they had few options. We'll prepare a shuttle. Thank you, Your Highness. After the call ended, Greg approached her. Captain, I don't like this. Why would they recognize humans immediately? And why block our communications? I agree it's suspicious, Eliza said. But we need to play along for now. Greg, you'll stay aboard and command the Defiant. If anything happens, your priority is getting back to Earth with what we've learned. Greg nodded, looking worried. Who will go with you? Sam for communications, Dr. Rivera for scientific expertise, and Lieutenant Henderson to head security. Small team, just like they asked. 90 minutes later, Eliza sat in the shuttle as it approached the massive space station. Through the window, she could see dozens of alien ships, all with designs far different from Earth vessels. Look at the size of those battleships, Nicole Henderson whispered, pointing to several enormous vessels docked at the far end of the station. As their shuttle landed in a designated bay, Eliza saw a welcoming party waiting for them. Prince Kazateral stood at the front with Admiral Dravnorak and several officials behind him. Remember, Eliza told her team as the shuttle doors opened, diplomatic protocols. We represent all of humanity. The air in the station smelled different, slightly sweeter than Earth air. The gravity felt a little lighter. Eliza led her team down the ramp and stopped before the prince. Welcome to Outpost Sigma 9, Prince, Kazateril said with a slight bow. Please follow me. The Admiral has prepared a reception. As they walked through the station's corridors, Eliza noticed the stares from alien beings of various species. Some looked almost human, others completely different. All seemed surprised or alarmed at the sight of them. Your Highness, she said, quietly. I notice we're causing quite a reaction. May I ask why? The prince glanced around before answering. Humans are known to us, Captain. Or rather, legends of humans. Stories thousands of years old speak of your kind, dangerous, unpredictable, innovative. Most believed you were myths. Before Eliza could ask more questions, they arrived at a large chamber. Inside was a long table with food and drinks, but it resembled an interrogation room more than a reception hall. Armed guards stood at every exit. Admiral Dravnorak gestured to seats. Please sit. We have many questions. Eliza and her team sat down, increasingly uncomfortable. This didn't feel like a diplomatic welcome. First, the Admiral began, explain how a human warship appears from nowhere at the exact moment revolutionaries attempt to kidnap the Imperial heir. It was coincidence, Eliza explained. We detected a distress signal and responded. Coincidence? The Admiral's tone was disbelieving. Your weapons disabled our ships with precise accuracy. Your shields withstood Imperial weaponry. Our weapons are designed for precision, Eliza said. We aim to disable, not destroy. A new figure entered the room, tall and elegant with robes covered in strange symbols. Fascinating, he said, studying them. They appear exactly as the ancient texts describe. This is Ambassador Velorax, the prince explained. He specializes in pre-imperial history. The ambassador approached, looking at Eliza with intense curiosity. "Tell me, Captain, how did your species develop such technology independently? The Empire monitors all developing worlds. Yours should have been catalogued centuries ago." Eliza felt a chill. "You mean you watch developing planets? Without their knowledge?" "Of course," the Admiral said, as if this was obvious. "We identify promising species early. Those with potential are guided. Those without are left alone. And yet somehow we missed humans entirely," Valorax mused. "A species that developed faster than light travel, energy weapons, and advanced shields, completely undetected." The Admiral slammed his hand on the table. "It's impossible unless they had help. Who assisted you? Was it the Arcturian Resistance? The Pleiadian Collective?" "No one helped us," Eliza insisted. "Humans developed these technologies through our own efforts." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "Take them to separate questioning rooms. I want the truth." Guards moved forward. Dr. Rivera looked panicked. "Captain?" "Stay calm," Eliza said, even as her own heart raced. "We've done nothing wrong." As guards surrounded them, she noticed Prince Kaztarl watching with a troubled expression. Their eyes met briefly, and she thought she saw sympathy there. Meanwhile, back on the Defiant, Greg Powell paced the bridge. "Still no contact from the captain, and our communications to Earth are definitely being jammed." Allison Wright looked up from her console. "Lieutenant, I'm detecting power buildups from the station. They're activating weapon systems." Greg's face hardened. "And multiple ships are moving to surround us. I think our welcome has officially ended." He took the captain's chair. "Red alert. Shields up. Prepare for emergency jump." "But the captain," someone protested, "is counting on us to get word back to Earth," Greg finished. "If they wanted friendly relations, they wouldn't be powering up weapons. We need to warn Earth about what we found here." As the Defiant's engines hummed to life, Greg knew they were about to make enemies. But Captain Mason and her team needed help, and Earth needed to know about the Arcturus Empire, an empire that apparently knew about humans long before humans knew about them. Eliza sat alone in a small gray room, her hands flat on the metal table. They had taken her communicator and weapon. 3 hours had passed since the guard separated her from her team. She wondered if Greg had noticed their situation and what he might do. The door slid open and Prince Kaztarl entered alone. He looked around nervously before sitting across from her. "Captain Mason, I don't have much time," he said quietly. "I wanted to apologize for how you've been treated. This isn't what I intended when I invited you here." "Where is my crew?" Eliza demanded, their safe being questioned separately. The prince leaned forward. "You must understand our reaction. For thousands of years, stories spoke of humans as both miracle workers and destroyers. Then suddenly a human warship appears at our borders with technology that matches our own. We aren't threats," Eliza said. "We're explorers." The prince smiled sadly. "Explorers with weapons that disabled our ships with perfect accuracy. The Admiral believes you must be spies or scouts for a human invasion force. That's ridiculous. Earth just wants peaceful contact with other species." "I believe you," the prince said. "But others don't. The Empire has existed for 10,000 years by being cautious. We don't understand how humans developed advanced technology without our knowledge." A noise outside made the prince look up sharply. "I must go. Admiral Dravnorak is calling an emergency council. He wants to send a fleet to find Earth." Eliza felt cold fear. Earth had only a handful of ships like the Defiant. They couldn't face an Imperial fleet. "What happens to me and my crew?" she asked. "You'll remain here while the council decides." The prince paused at the door. "For what it's worth, I'm arguing for peace." After he left, Eliza paced the small room. She needed to warn Earth and find her crew. Meanwhile, aboard the Defiant, Greg Powell faced an impossible choice. 5 Imperial warships now surrounded them, weapons charged. "They're hailing us again," Sam's replacement at communications said. "On screen," Greg ordered. Admiral Dravnorak appeared. "Human vessel, power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. This is your final warning." Greg glanced at Allison Wright. Options? Their ships are powerful but slow to maneuver, she said quietly. Their shield frequencies are predictable. I think I found a pattern. Greg nodded slightly. Admiral, we're visitors here by invitation of Prince Kazataral. We demand the return of our captain and crew. Your demands mean nothing, the Admiral snapped. You have 30 seconds to comply before we open fire. The screen went dark. Everyone, battle stations, Greg said calmly. Allison, whatever plan you have, do it now. Allison's fingers flew across her console. Their shields all operate on the same frequency pattern. If we send a focused pulse at the exact counter frequency, 20 seconds, the tactical officer reported. Almost there, Allison muttered. Modifying our deflector dish. Ready. Do it, Greg ordered. The Defiant shot a bright pulse of energy that split into 5 beams, each hitting one of the Imperial ships. The effect was immediate. All 5 ships' shields flickered and died. Their shields are down, the tactical officer shouted. Send them a message, Greg said. Tell them we could have fired but chose not to. Ask them again to return our people. Before they could send the message, alarms blared across the bridge. More ships incoming, the tactical officer reported, at least 20 from multiple directions. Greg made his decision. We can't win this fight. Plot a course back to Earth. Maximum speed. But the captain, someone protested. Would want Earth warned, Greg finished. Their shields will be back online in minutes. This might be our only chance. With a heavy heart, he gave the order. The Defiant turned and accelerated away from the station, then disappeared into faster-than-light travel. Back on the station, Eliza heard alarms sounding. Guards rushed past her door. Something was happening. Minutes later, the door slid open and Dr. Joseph Rivera was pushed inside, followed by Sam and Nicole. Captain, Sam said with relief. Are you okay? I'm fine. What's happening out there? Nicole moved to the door, listening. From what I could gather, the Defiant just escaped after knocking out the shields on 5 Imperial ships. Eliza felt both pride and worry. Greg had made the right call, getting word back to Earth. But now they were truly alone. The door opened again. Ambassador Valorax entered with 2 guards. Your ship has escaped, he said, sounding surprisingly calm. Quite impressive. They disabled 5 Imperial cruisers without firing a single shot. That's humans for you, Eliza replied. Creative, problem solvers. Valorax studied her with curious eyes. Indeed. The Council is in emergency session. Some want to send a fleet to find your homeworld. Others, including myself, counsel caution. A fleet would be a mistake, Eliza warned. Humans don't respond well to threats. So the legends say. Valorax gestured for them to follow. The Emperor has requested to speak with you directly. This is unprecedented. They were led through long corridors to a large chamber filled with screens and holograms. In the center stood Prince Kaztaral, beside a floating hologram of an older blue-skinned being with elaborate silver markings on his face. Emperor Jarakir, Valorax announced, bowing deeply. The hologram turned to study Eliza and her team. So these are the humans who saved my nephew and then disabled 5 of my warships without firing a shot. Eliza stepped forward. I am Captain Eliza Mason of the Earthship Defiant. We came as peaceful explorers. Peaceful explorers with impressive military capabilities, the Emperor noted. Your ship escaped our best vessels. How did you manage that? Eliza thought carefully before answering. Humans adapt quickly. One of our engineers noticed a pattern in your shield frequencies. Murmurs spread through the room. The Emperor looked surprised. In minutes? Impossible. Those frequency patterns are changed regularly. Not regularly enough, Eliza said simply. The Emperor studied her for a long moment, then laughed. Just as, the old story said, humans see patterns where others see only chaos. He turned to Admiral Drav Norak. Stand down the fleet. But Your Majesty? The Admiral protested. If humans wanted war, they would have fired when our shields were down, the Emperor said. Instead, they escaped to warn their people. Honorable. He turned back to Eliza. Captain Mason, I offer you a choice. Remain as our guests while we establish diplomatic contact with your world, or, Eliza asked, or tell us the coordinates of your homeworld yourself, as a gesture of trust. The room fell silent. Everyone watched Eliza. It was a test. Give up Earth's location voluntarily or be held as prisoners. Eliza straightened her back. With respect, Emperor, neither option acknowledges that we came in peace and were met with hostility. I propose a third option. Let us return to our ship when it comes back and establish proper diplomatic channels as equals. The Emperor's hologram flickered slightly as he considered her words. Behind her, Eliza could feel her crew holding their breath. The Emperor's hologram stared at Eliza for what felt like minutes. No one in the room dared to speak. Finally, the corner of his mouth turned up slightly. You negotiate boldly for someone with no leverage, Captain Mason, he said. I admire that. Very well. You and your crew will be treated as diplomatic guests, not prisoners. When your ship returns, we will discuss proper relations between Earth and the Arcturus Empire. Admiral Dravnorak stepped forward. Your Majesty, we cannot trust these humans. Their ship disabled our defenses with ease. They are clearly a threat. The humans had a chance to attack and chose not to, the Emperor replied sharply. Besides, I'm curious. After 10,000 years of Imperial history, something new has appeared. He looked back at Eliza. Ambassador Valorax will see to your accommodations. We will speak again soon. The hologram disappeared, leaving the room in silence. Admiral Dravnorak glared at Eliza before storming out. Well? Ambassador Valorax said with a small smile. That was unexpected. Please follow me. He led them through the station to a suite of rooms with large windows overlooking space. The rooms were comfortable, though clearly designed for bodies, slightly taller than humans. These are our diplomatic quarters, Valorax explained. You'll be comfortable here. Guards will remain outside, but you're not prisoners. After he left, Eliza turned to her team. Thoughts? We're still stuck here, until the Defiant returns, Nicole said. If it returns. It will, Eliza said confidently. Greg will bring help. The Emperor seemed genuinely interested in us, Dr. Rivera noted. More curious than afraid. But the Admiral definitely sees us as a threat, Sam added. And I bet he, as supporters. Eliza nodded. We need to be careful. The Empire is clearly divided on how to handle us. Our job now is to show them that humans are better as friends than enemies. Back on Earth, the Defiant's sudden return caused chaos. Greg Powell stood in the United Earth Federation headquarters, facing a room full of officials. You left your captain behind? Admiral Frank Daniels asked, his face stern. We had no choice, sir, Greg explained. The station was activating weapons, and more ships were arriving. Our best chance to warn Earth was to retreat. And you believe this Arcturus Empire poses a threat? They control thousands of worlds, sir. Their technology matches or exceeds our own in many areas, and they're deeply suspicious of us. The room fell silent as the officials considered this information. Earth had only recently united after centuries of conflict. The thought of facing an alien empire was sobering. We need to rescue our people, a woman said. Greg recognized her as Catherine Lee, Earth's top diplomat. With all respect, Ambassador Lee, we can't just charge in, Admiral Daniels replied. We have 8 ships like the Defiant. This empire apparently has thousands. We don't need force, Catherine said. We need diplomacy. Lieutenant Powell, you said this empire values protocol and hierarchy? Yes, ma'am, they seemed obsessed with proper channels and authority. Catherine smiled. Then we'll use that. Admiral, I propose we send a proper diplomatic mission. All 8 ships, but clearly marked as a diplomatic fleet. We'll request the return of our people and offer formal relations. And if they attack? Someone asked. They won't, Greg said. At least not right away. Engineer Wright discovered a flaw in their shield technology. If needed, we could temporarily disable their ships again. Admiral Daniels considered this, then nodded. Very well. Ambassador Lee, prepare your team. The fleet departs in 48 hours. Meanwhile, on the Imperial station, days passed. Eliza and her crew were treated well, though always watched. Prince Kazataral visited them often, curious about Earth and humans. "Your species fascinates me," he admitted during one visit. "We've conquered thousands of worlds, incorporated hundreds of species into the Empire. Yet none develop as quickly as humans apparently have." "We're curious by nature," Dr. Rivera explained. "Always asking questions, looking for better ways to do things." "That's dangerous," the prince said. "Many in the Imperial court fear what would happen if humanity spread throughout the galaxy." "What do you think?" Eliza asked. The prince considered. "I think change is inevitable. The Empire has grown stagnant. We take technology from conquered worlds rather than innovating ourselves." Their conversation was interrupted when the door slid open. Admiral Drav Norak entered with 4 guards. "Prince Kazataral, you're needed immediately. Our sensors have detected multiple ships approaching. Human ships." Eliza felt a surge of hope. Greg had returned with help. The prince stood quickly. "How many?" 8 vessels, similar to their Defiant. They're transmitting diplomatic signals, requesting permission to approach. "Earth sent a diplomatic fleet," Eliza said, unable to hide her smile. "Not a war party." The admiral glared at her. "So they claim. Grand Marshal Vexitalan doesn't believe them. He's ordered our fleet to intercept." "That would be a mistake," the prince warned. "If the humans wanted conflict, they wouldn't announce their arrival." "I must go," the admiral said. "The Marshal has called an emergency session of the Military Council. I suggest you attend, Your Highness." After they left, Eliza turned to her team. "This could turn bad quickly. Sam, can you try to contact our ships?" Sam shook her head. "All communications are still blocked." "Then we need another way to send a message." Eliza thought for a moment. "Dr. Rivera, you've been studying their technology. Is there any way to bypass their systems?" "Maybe," he said hesitantly. "Their computer terminals all connect to a central network. If I could access one." "That's our mission," Eliza decided. "Nicole, we need a distraction. Something to get the guards away from the door." Before they could make plans, the station shuddered violently. Alarms blared. "What was that?" Sam asked. The door slid open. Prince Kaztaral rushed in looking worried. "Captain, we have a problem. Grand Marshal Vextalan has ordered our ships to fire warning shots at your fleet. One of your vessels responded by disabling 3 of our ships just like before." "They're using Allison's shield technique," Eliza realized. "Impressive but dangerous," the prince said. "The Marshal sees it as proof of hostile intent. He's ordered the full fleet to engage." "That's madness," Eliza said. "Earth doesn't want war with the Arcturus Empire." "I know. That's why I'm here." The prince looked nervous. "The Emperor ordered me to bring you to the command center. He thinks you might be able to prevent a war." As they hurried through the corridors, Eliza saw chaos. Officers rushed about. Screens showed ships moving into battle formations. In the command center, Emperor Jarakir's hologram stood in the center, watching displays of the approaching human fleet. He turned as Eliza entered. "Captain Mason," he said, "your people have returned with impressive speed and numbers." "They came to retrieve us and establish diplomatic relations," Eliza said. "Nothing more." "Yet they disabled 3 of my ships when approached." "Only after being fired upon," Eliza countered. "It was defensive." Grand Marshal Vex's Talon, a tall Imperial with battle scars across his blue face, stepped forward. "Majesty, we cannot allow these humans to dictate terms. Their technology threatens our supremacy. We must strike now while we have the advantage of numbers." The Emperor looked troubled. "What would you suggest, Captain Mason?" All eyes turned to Eliza. The fate of 2 civilizations might depend on her next words. Eliza took a deep breath. Everyone in the command center watched her, waiting. This moment could lead to peace or war between humans and the Arcturus Empire. "Your Majesty," she began, "let me speak directly with the Earth Fleet. Let them hear from me that I'm safe. Then allow me to act as a bridge between our peoples. A reasonable request, the Emperor said. Marshal Vex Talon, your thoughts? The scarred Marshal frowned. She will simply signal her people to attack. If I wanted to do that, I wouldn't need a signal, Eliza said calmly. Our ships have already shown they can disable yours without firing a shot. Vex Talon's face darkened with anger, but the Emperor raised a hand to silence him. She speaks truth. Open a channel to the human fleet. A large screen lit up, showing the bridge of the lead Earthship. Ambassador Catherine Lee stood at the center, with Admiral Frank Daniels beside her. Greg Powell was visible in the background. Captain Mason, Greg exclaimed, you're alive. I'm fine, Lieutenant, Eliza assured him. We all are. Ambassador Lee stepped forward. I am Catherine Lee, representing the United Earth Federation. We've come to retrieve our people and establish diplomatic relations with the Arcturus Empire. The AF? Emperor studied her. You bring warships for a diplomatic mission? We brought our finest ships as a sign of respect, Catherine replied smoothly. And as protection, after our people were detained. A reasonable precaution, the Emperor admitted. Grand Marshal, order our ships to stand down. Vex Talon hesitated, then reluctantly gave the order. The tension in the room decreased slightly. Ambassador Lee, the Emperor continued, I propose a meeting. You and your delegation may dock at this station. Captain Mason and her team will join us. Together we will discuss the future of our civilizations. Catherine nodded. We accept your proposal, Your Majesty. 2 hours later, Eliza stood in a large meeting hall alongside her crew. The Earth delegation, led by Ambassador Lee, had just arrived. On the other side stood Emperor Jarakir, who had traveled to the station in person, along with Prince Kaztaral, Admiral Drav Norak, and Grand Marshal Vex Talon. Welcome to Outpost Sigma 9, the Emperor said. This is a historic day for both our peoples. Ambassador Lee bowed slightly. Thank you for your hospitality, Your Majesty. We come with peaceful intentions. So you say. Grand Marshal Vex's Talon interrupted. Yet your ships disabled our vessels with technology we've never seen. Admiral Daniels stepped forward. A defensive measure only. We analyzed your shield frequencies and found a pattern. It's not aggression, just human problem solving. Engineer Allison Wright, who had arrived with the Earth delegation, added, your shields cycle through predictable patterns. We simply created a counterpulse that matched the cycle. Impossible, Admiral Drav Norak said. Our shield technology is the most advanced in the known galaxy. It's advanced, Allison agreed, but unchanging. You've used the same basic design for centuries, haven't you? The Imperial officials exchanged uncomfortable looks. Prince Kazataral smiled slightly. This is precisely what makes humans dangerous, Vex Talon insisted. They see patterns we miss, solve problems in ways we don't expect. Dangerous, Ambassador Lee questioned. Or valuable allies? The Emperor raised a hand for silence. Let us speak plainly. For 10,000 years, the Arcturus Empire has expanded by incorporating other civilizations, some willingly, others through conquest. We monitor developing worlds and intervene when they reach certain technological thresholds. But you missed Earth completely, Eliza said. Yes, the Emperor acknowledged. A mystery we still don't understand. Somehow humans developed in isolation. And in doing so, you took different paths than we expected. Ambassador Lee stepped forward. Your Majesty, Earth has no interest in conquest or expansion at your expense. We seek knowledge, friendship, and peaceful trade. But we will defend ourselves, if threatened. As you've demonstrated, the Emperor said with a nod, your ships could have attacked when our shields were down. They didn't. That speaks well of your intentions. Grand Marshal Vex Talon wasn't convinced. Majesty, humans are unpredictable. The ancient texts warn. The ancient texts also speak of human creativity and honor, Prince Kazataral interrupted. Captain Mason saved my life when she could have simply observed. Her people disabled our ships without causing casualties when they could have destroyed them. The Emperor considered this. "What do you propose, Ambassador Lee?" "A treaty," she replied promptly. "Earth recognizes the Arcturus Empire as a sovereign power. In return, the Empire acknowledges Earth's independence. Neither will interfere in the other's affairs. We establish diplomatic missions, cultural exchanges, and fair trade agreements." "And your technology?" Admiral Dravnorak asked. "Will you share it?" "Some, yes," Catherine said. "And we hope you'll share yours. But not weapons or defense systems. Those remain separate." The negotiation continued for hours. Eliza watched as both sides worked toward an agreement. By the end, a preliminary treaty was drafted. The Arcturus Empire would recognize Earth as an independent power, not subject to imperial rule. In exchange, Earth would share certain technologies and scientific knowledge. As the meeting concluded, the Emperor approached Eliza privately. "Captain Mason, your actions started this chain of events. Some in my court still fear what humans might become. Others see opportunity. What do you see in our future?" Eliza thought carefully. "I see two civilizations that took different paths, but reached similar places. The Empire built stability through control. Earth built strength through adaptation. Together we could be something greater than either alone." The Emperor nodded slowly. "A wise perspective. The treaty calls for an Earth embassy within Imperial territory. Would you consider serving there?" "Me?" Eliza was surprised. "I'm a starship captain, not a diplomat." "You're the first human many of us have met," the Emperor said. "Prince Kaztarl trusts you. That counts for much." Before Eliza could answer, alarms blared. Grand Marshal Vexitalan rushed in. "Majesty, rebel forces have launched an attack on the Imperial Palace. They're using our distraction with the humans to strike." The Emperor's face hardened. "How bad?" "Very. They've disabled the palace defenses using the same technique the humans used against our ships." All eyes turned to the Earth delegation. "We had nothing to do with this," Ambassador Lee insisted. Prince Kazataral looked troubled. "The rebels must have observed what happened and adapted the technique." "Just as we feared," Admiral Dravnorak said. "Human methods spreading chaos, or creating change," Eliza suggested. She turned to the Emperor. "Your Majesty, let us help. Our ships can reach the Imperial capital before the rebels secure their position." "Why would you help us?" the Emperor asked. "To prove we can be trusted," Eliza said simply, "and because it's the right thing to do." The Emperor studied her, then nodded. "Very well, Captain Mason. It seems the future of our peoples begins now." As the combined fleet of human and Imperial ships prepared to depart, Eliza stood on the bridge of the Defiant once more. Greg had surrendered command back to her with a relieved smile. "So," he asked, "are we at war or peace?" Eliza watched as Imperial ships formed up alongside the human vessels, former enemies now working together. "Neither exactly," she replied. "We're at the beginning of something new. The galaxy just became a lot more interesting." As the Defiant jumped to faster-than-light speed alongside Imperial cruisers, Eliza thought about the panicked message that had spread when they first arrived. Who allowed a human warship this close? Soon, human warships would be a common sight in Imperial space, not as conquerors or subjects, but as allies. The galaxy would never be the same.